Moving on to our main story tonight. Guys, football is over. It's done, and we are sad. Even those of us that are happy because the team we love is a certified dynasty, we're sad too. We got to wait a whole year to watch them win another Super Bowl. That first Sunday when there's no football to watch is so bleak. We probably should have given it a name by now, like Black Friday or Super Tuesday.
It's called the saddest Sunday in America. The first of 6 months with no football.
Okay, the saddest Sunday in America. Sure, Pearl Harbor was sad, but I have to get off of my couch and go outside. That is the real tragedy. But not any longer, you guys. This year, that all changes.
We never know where greatness will come from, but we know it always starts with the same question. What if? What if football didn't have to end in February? What if players who missed the big show by a fraction of a second or a tenth of an inch finally got a second chance to change football forever? What if we brought football into the 21st century? What if we didn't have to say, what if? In February of 2019, some of the most respected minds in the history of the game will come together to form the Alliance of American Football.
Yeah! Football's back, baby! Yes! Yes! It was a very long 6 days without it. I was hurting. From the looks of the promo, the Alliance of American Football has it all. It has action. It has drama. It has solar panels. Let's go! Woo! Look, I'm usually skeptical of these new leagues that pop up every few years to try to capitalize on our collective love of football. More football seems great from a distance, but when you see it up close, it's unrecognizable and weird, like Ryan Gosling at Madame Tussauds. But here's the thing, the AAF, it looks kind of recognizable.
You're going to hear some names of players that are familiar to you, and you're going to hear coaches' names that you're very familiar with.
Mike Singletary, Steve Spurrier, Rick Neuheisel, Mike Martz, Dennis Erickson, Mike Riley, and Tim Lewis.
And if you're going to do this, you got to go out and get a really good football person, and that's Bill Polian.
None of the previous leagues have ever had a level of experience we have. Our coaches and our GMs and our executives alone have over 475 years of NFL experience.
That's a lot. That's like 48 Sean McVays. Or 1.5 Jerry Joneses. So this league has promise, but I do have some questions, like who are the teams? What are the rules? Why does that mannequin have veins? Did you order them that way? Is it actually weirder if you didn't order them that way and they just showed up with veins? Probably. It bothers me, sorry. Things like that bother me. Let's go ahead and start with the teams. The AAF has 8 of them. There's the Birmingham Iron, which is named after the city's iron industry, the Arizona Hotshots, a tribute to the region's firefighters, and the Orlando Apollos because, well, actually, I'm not really sure.
God of the sun, conqueror of the moon. One name has struck fear in its opponents' hearts for thousands of years. In a city like this, we are all gods of the sun. In a city like this, we are all Apollos.
That's right. It's like people always say, Orlando, that's Apollo's country down there. As for the rules, there are a couple notable differences. Kickoffs are gone. 2-point conversions are mandatory. Blitzes are limited, and the onside kick has been replaced with the onside conversion, which is essentially a 4th down play from the 28-yard line. They have also added the Sky Judge, a 9th ref up in the booth who can catch and correct calls missed on the field in real time. And while I love that idea, I think that's great, I am a little sad that I will have to scrap this Sky Judge pilot I've been working on, which featured Gerard Butler playing a judge who dispenses justice from his hot air balloon. I think you should go to jail. He plays a British guy. He has a lot of range. He can do many accents. All this AAF stuff sounds fine enough. I just want to know, should I watch the thing or not? You know, what's everybody else saying about it?
Saturday night, the American Alliance of Football. For the record, that's an awful name for a league. AAF's not bad. The American Alliance of Football is an awful name. Debuted on CBS.
Okay, Colin, I know that it's new, but that isn't the name. It's actually, it was on the screen right under your face. The Alliance of American Football. You can't start your book report on War and Peace by saying that Peace and War is a dumb name for a book. But, okay, anyway, please continue.
And it beat the NBA. And it didn't just beat the NBA. It was like Westbrook and Paul George and James Harden and Chris Paul. It beat the NBA. Now, it won't on a nightly basis. But they had Spiro Ditas and Trent Green announcing it for CBS, so it felt big. And the football wasn't half bad.
Now, I am being told I legally have to tell you it didn't beat the NBA. It technically tied the NBA, which is on ABC. But the point is, it did pretty damn well for a brand new league. And also, not half bad is a better review than I would give most Thursday night football games. So I think what it's all going to come down to is whether or not there is an appetite for more football. We think we want it now, but it's entirely possible that our eyes are bigger than our stomachs. And if that is the case, well, then we're in real trouble, because there's about to be a ton of food on our plate.
The new XFL will kick off in 2020, and quite frankly, we're going to give the game of football back to fans. We will present a shorter, faster-paced, family-friendly, and easier to understand game. Don't get me wrong, it's still football, but it's professional football reimagined. Since we're launching in 2020, we have 2 years, which is plenty of time to really get it right.
Yeah, you know what they say, Rome was built in about 2 years. Yes, the XFL is coming back in 2020, and apparently they're learning from their mistakes, which is good because, you know, the 2001 version was a train wreck. It only had 1 year to launch, and as it turns out, that's not enough time.
In about 6 weeks, we had to show the advertisers what this could be. We didn't have any team names. We weren't sure who the football players were going to be. We really didn't know exactly what the game was going to be. We did have a very good logo. We had a logo of the XFL. We had the color of the ball. And, of course, cheerleaders.
The eyes of a lady. They speak volumes. An intense and restless soul that searches for... Whoa, mama! The XFL cheerleaders, coming to NBC. Don't worry, we'll teach them how to cheer.
Oh, good, you'll teach them how to cheer. Will you also teach them how to get in touch with HR? But aside from the name and Vince McMahon, it doesn't seem like this new XFL that's coming in 2020 is going to have much in common with the old one. For one, the promos certainly feel a lot different.
This is the future. This is not the past. This is the future, and the future moves fast. This is quicker, simpler, rules, reform. This is your game, safer. This is football, reborn. This is gaming and fantasy. This is padded, roulette.
We'd love to say more, but we're not that far yet. Apparently, the goals of the XFL are to speed up the game, but slow down those darn rap songs. We are still a year out, but I don't know, if I'm honest, I just do not have a great feeling about the XFL. They came out when they announced their league and they said no one with a criminal record would be allowed to play, not even a DUI, which felt strong. And then the commissioner has already walked that back, I assume because, you know, football doesn't really work as a one-on-one sport. It does kind of feel like they just made an entire league just so that they could force players to stand for the anthem. Not great. They do have a bunch of cities lined up, though. Well, I will give them that. I'm not going to list them all, but they're big cities. Suffice it to say that they've got
Dallas, Tampa, St. Louis, NYC, it's Seattle, Houston, LA, and DC. It's happening, get ready, time to scream, time to yell. This is football reborn. This is the XFL.
Is this how you guys are doing press releases? Could you just send it in my email? I don't love that. It's very aggressive. The teams do not have names yet, but the Dallas team did name something, and it was their coach, and it was a pretty big deal.
Bob Stoops, first head coach and general manager here in Dallas.
Okay, people wondered at first. I thought, no, that probably wouldn't be for me. I was excited about the opportunity of starting something from the ground floor.
That's a real coach! Bob Stoops could have just about any legitimate football coaching job, but he's going to coach the XFL Dallas team? I'm intrigued. Of course, he's literally the only coach that they've hired, so the XFL thing could still go either way. At least this time around, it does not appear to be going the way of no rules nonsense and cameras in the cheerleaders' locker room. Though, for the record, that was a you problem.
There was nothing vulgar about it. There was nothing distasteful about it. And I think a lot of people that didn't watch it had an opinion. Oh, that's just terrible. Did you see it? I didn't think so. The time I spent with the cheerleaders is something that I will cherish for a long time.
I actually feel really bad making fun of you. That's great. We're so happy for you. Thank you for taking us along on that journey. So we're getting 2 new football leagues, and it's possible that one or both will find success. It is also possible that both will fail miserably. And if they do, they will join a long list of other attempts that most of us have forgotten about by now. Like back in 1983, there was the United States Football League. It launched with 12 teams, a couple solid TV rights deals, and a whole lot of promise. Now, this was like a decade and a half after the NFL merged with the AFL, so the idea of another football league existing didn't seem as strange as it does now. And the USFL actually had big-name talent. They signed 3 consecutive Heisman winners out of college, Herschel Walker, Doug Flutie, and Mike Rozier. Jim Kelly and Steve Young both played in the USFL. In fact, they played each other on a then-fledgling network called ESPN, which I will use as an excuse to show you that sweet, sweet graphics package.
Kelly against Young, tonight from the Astrodome, live on ESPN.
The game is over. Sorry, that's a very long intro. Unfortunately, most of the teams within the league struggled financially over the first 3 years, and after a decision to move their season from the spring to the fall to compete directly with the NFL, and an ensuing lawsuit against the NFL that technically went in their favor but awarded them $3, both of those things, by the way, on the recommendation of a team owner who, I don't know, you might have heard of, the league folded before the 1986 season. In 1991, we got the World League of American Football, but that was backed by the NFL, so it doesn't really count. It did its thing for like 17 years, rode someone else's coattails, and changed its name 3 times. It's basically the Diddy of American football. In 2009, there was the United Football League, who played their games in the fall right alongside the NFL and the NCAA. The hope was that the 2011 NFL season would be delayed or canceled due to a lockout, driving football fans and players into the welcoming arms of the UFL. Unfortunately, the lockout was over by July, which left the UFL so desperate for fans that they had to pull out all the promotional stops. This is real.
This is Joshua out at Sam Boyd Stadium, home of the Las Vegas Locomotives. Right here we got one of our special guest appearances, 911 Angel Camaros with Fueled by the Fallen, as well as we got Alan Turner for our opening act and a very special message from our halftime show, Lady Gaga.
Hello, little monsters. Don't forget to check out the live tribute show at halftime. Pause up.
I'm sorry, your special guests are Alan Turner, a car, and a Lady Gaga impersonator? That commercial is like a nesting doll of sadness. Although Lady Gaga by Erica sounds like one of those fancy perfumes you get your girlfriend from Macy's. In April of 2014, NFL EVP Troy Vincent mentioned casually in an interview that the NFL was interested in forming a developmental league. And then, in May of 2014, 1 month later, a sports lawyer named Brian Woods was like, hey, I'm gonna launch an NFL developmental league, and I'm gonna call it the Fall Experimental League. It's weird. It's like when you order delivery food and it shows up too quickly. And then you just look at it and you're like, I'm not gonna eat that. You're a stalker. Despite its name, the XFL offered little to no experimentation. It was NFL football, just very, very bad. Their big stars were Taj Boyd and Josh Freeman. Woo! The founder himself admitted that the future of the league was tied to arranging a formal affiliation with the NFL, and the NFL was like, new phone, who this? The league lasted 2 seasons, kind of. They both ended early, which was probably for the best, because players said they often had to share helmets among the team. The guy who ran that league then went to form the Spring League, which, surprise, essentially the same thing, but now instead of being a developmental league for the NFL, it's a developmental league for the AAF and the XFL. And the lesson here, learn to settle. Happy Valentine's Day, kids. Honorable mentions go to the leagues that are football adjacent, like the Arena Football League, which was founded in 1987 by a former USFL and NFL executive, and you'll be shocked to learn, still exists. And the American Flag Football League, which debuted in 2017. And listen, if you think that flag football sounds kind of soft, well, bucko, does this promo look soft to you?
The American Flag Football League is changing the way you think about football. Games are 7-on-7, and small 12-man rosters mean some guys will play both ways. The field is your traditional 100 yards, but it's divided into 4 25-yard zones. Offense has 4 downs to get into the next zone for a first down. That means there's no need for chains. Now there's no blocking, no tackling, and no fumbles. But here's the deal. The clock is almost always running. Minimal stops equals maximum action. And after a touchdown, teams change directions. Because as we all know, losers walk.
We all know that? Losers walk sounds like the slogan for a campaign promoting drunk driving. So, okay, the reality is that most of these smaller upstart leagues don't make it. But that is not to say that they aren't valuable. The USFL, in its final season, used a replay system for challenges that is almost identical to the one that the NFL uses today. It also helped bring the 2-point conversion into the pro game, with the NFL incorporating it in 1994. The UFL served as sort of a developmental league for referees, which gave Sarah Thomas the necessary experience to break into the league as the first female NFL official. Even the short-lived XFL of 2001 left its mark on the game forever in the form of the sky cam, mic'd up players, and herpes, probably. To be honest, it kind of seems like starting your own league to compete with the NFL is the best way to get them to change the way they do things. And it sounds like you don't really need to have much of a business plan. You just say, hi, I'm starting a league, and then cut together a sick promo video. So, hi, I'm starting a league. Roll the sick promo video.
The Federation of Always Late Alliance Football League is revolutionizing football as we know it. It's dynamic, it's innovative, and it's football on television, so shut up and watch it. The Federation of Always Late Alliance Football League is for people who love real old school football, but also want to change like 10 or 15 things about it. There's no ties in the Federation of Always Late Alliance Football League. Ties. In the FALAFL, if a coach doesn't like a call, forget challenge flags. Our coaches throw down in a thumb war. There's no domestic violence. Players are allowed to kneel for the national anthem, but are required to stand for Bob Seger's night moves. To maximize the action, the Federation of Always Late Alliance Football League is 3-on-3 football. But don't just take my word for it, this is a tractor. We treat women like people. And if a player fumbles through the other team's end zone, it's not a touchback, because that's stupid and everyone hates it. We are the Federation of Always Late Alliance Football League. The falafel? Wait, nobody realized that we're called the falafel? Guys,